And welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Christian Mikkelsen, and I will make a short presentation of our vertical transfer station, how it works. First, I have to introduce the company, CNNL Waste Solution, which is operating in China, and Ergo Global, which is 100% owned by CNNL Waste Solution, is operating in Malaysia and countries outside of China. CN is China, NL is Netherlands, because the technology originates from Netherlands, but has been taken over by Chinese companies. They took me over too. So, what is a waste transfer station? I'm sure most of you know what a waste transfer station is. Basically, it's introduced to make transportation feasible in areas where the long haul by collection trucks is uneconomical. So the waste transfer station acts as a hub to receive the waste from collection trucks and then load it into large containers and transport it by heavy-duty trucks. So normally we say that one of our containers can take 4 to 5 times as much as a collection truck. So you have quite a bit of result. Fuel cost savings, maintenance cost savings, reduction of the collection truck fleet, reduction of truck operational personnel, reduction of traffic, reduction of leachate pollution on roads. We all know that collection trucks cannot contain the leachate, so there's a lot of pollution on the roads from the leachate. Then the last one is reduction of CO2 because of the reduction of the fuel. Waste transfer stations there are two different concepts. There's the horizontal, which is the most commonly used, especially in North America, but also Japan. And Japan introduced their horizontal transfer station in other countries. Now the horizontal transfer station have some problems. This is not a big problem, but they occupy the space under the deck. This space here is occupied by the compactor and by the very heavy-duty hydraulic power unit. So this space cannot be used. Furthermore, it's high power required for the feeder and the compactor, and it cannot operate if there is a power failure. If there is a power failure, you cannot push with the compactor into the feeder and from the feeder into the container. Then the waste will be exposed to air, which causes a lot of bad odor, a lot of air pollution. Then they can hardly contain the leachate from the area. Oops. There we go. They can hardly contain the leachate in the area between the feeder and the container. That will always mostly leak, also during transportation. Now, this was a horizontal. This is our introduction of the vertical type. We move the compactor and the hydraulic power unit up here. So the result is that we have this space available, and this could be available for waste sorting and material recovery or other facilities, for example, workshops, storage, offices, etc. There's a lot of possibilities under parking also, under the unloading deck. Then we have a low power compactor because we have, when we use it vertically, we have more power. We also use the gravity. So we have natural compaction. In case we have a power outage, then we can still operate because Mr. Newton is helping us with the gravity, so it can still operate. Then we have 100% sealed silo that ensures no leaking during the compaction and during the transport. Transfer trucks are equipped with a heavy-duty cable system that can take the silo from its position, lower it to the truck for transportation. So that's the difference between the horizontal and the vertical system. We have introduced the vertical system back in the 1980s in Europe and in South America and in Australia. But now we have introduced a lot in China, and we have a station also in Penang, Malaysia, which I will show a little bit later. There is a lot of difference between the vertical system, our vertical system, and the common horizontal system. We store the silos vertically, which means that there is a small footprint compared to the horizontal, which have to store them horizontally, and that leaves a larger footprint, and you need more area, and area is expensive. Then the loading, we dump it directly in the silo, and the waste for the horizontal is first dumped into a storage tank in a feeder, and then after it's loaded into the container. We do it directly. Power consumption, we have much less power consumption than the common horizontal transfer station. Equipment investment, we have less. It's a simple way of setting up a transfer station. So we have less equipment, and we can handle more silo positions with one compactor. We can handle up to six positions, where the horizontal normally have usually one or two, normally. The maintenance cost, because of that, the maintenance costs are lower than the horizontal. Odor pollution, since we dump directly, we can control the odor much better. And we also introduce in our transfer station an odor and dust control system, so that we don't have any bad smell from the area inside. We have a very simple construction principle when we construct the transfer station. It's basically a box. The lower floor is below here, the upper floor is there. So we introduce a steel frame, which we have designed, and then just introduced to the box. After this has been installed, then we can install our compactor and our funnel system, the funnel system to make sure that the waste is dumped into the silo and not around the silo. The key components for our transfer station is the silos, and they are made of a special Swedish steel called Domex, for which we can do it very light. We only need 3 millimeter. We only need 3 millimeter of the body. So, and we don't need reinforcement, because when you compact into a square container, then the forces will like to make the square container round. And therefore, not to have a square container round, you have to reinforce so it stays square. So the Dutch, when they invented the system, they said, why do it that way? Why don't we make it round to begin with? So we save actually a lot of steel, and we can have more waste payload in the transports. Then we also have another option. We can actually take the leachate out from the silos. We can treat it on the transfer station, or we can transport it by special tankers from a storage. So you don't have to transport the leachate. This is sometimes a requirement from our customers that we have to take out the leachate, and we have a few transfer stations in China where that has been made possible. The next key component is how you load the silos. I just said before that you need to make sure that the waste goes into the silo and not all around it. So we put a rear plate on the steel frame. The rear plate is shown in the downward position here, and then the steel frame includes these side plates, just to make a funnel to make sure that the waste goes into the silo. The next one is the compactor, and I must just tell you that this is not how quick it works in reality. This is, I don't know, I couldn't make it slow on the presentation, but it works slow. It presses with 30 ton. It weighs about 7 ton itself. And the hydraulic power unit is mounted on the top of the compactor. So it's mounted up here. And then it's controlled by PLC. But it doesn't press as quick as this one. The next one is the cable system, how we take the silos from the positions. We lower them by a special cable system, which we produce in China normally, and then mounted on a truck, can be supplied by the customer. The truck, as long as we know the chassis design, then we can mount our cable system on most truck brands. In China, we use mostly a truck called Sinotruck, Hovo Sinotruck, but there are many brands. We have different transportation methods. We transport in a 6-meter silo. We can also transport in a 7.5-meter silo. So these silos will take between, depending on the composition of the waste, will take between 15 and 24 ton in the silos. We can use a semi-trailer, or we can use a double trailer. The double trailer is used in Malaysia in our Penang transfer station project there. So we take 2 6-meter silo from the transfer station to the landfill, and they take about 30 ton total in these 5-meter. Again, depending on, from country to country, depending on the road regulations, but also depending, of course, of the waste composition. The very wet waste will be heavy, and the very dry waste will be lighter. Our business scope: we supply equipment, we do EPC, we do investment, BOT or DBOO, or we take over, upgrade, operate and transfer, and we operate the facilities. Now, a common way that we do is that we do EPC. We go in, we install, we train, we commission everything, and then we have the customer to operate for a period of time, and then we suggest that we buy back so that we can operate. This is a way we can do, and we have done in China, and we're now doing in Malaysia and Penang too. Then I'll show you a few of our transfer station. This is our transfer station in Penang, in Malaysia. This is our first transfer station in China, located on Chongming Island, just north of Shanghai. That station was more a showcase, so that we could show people in the governments, the local governments in China, how it works. Because, I mean, we said to see is to believe. So why not build it and show how it works? So that led, that was built in 2002, and then a lot have followed the latest 12 years. We have now more than 50 transfer stations in China alone. This is another transfer station in Pudong, also in Shanghai, in Pudong area. This has the capacity of 1,200 ton, and our booth has a model of this transfer station. This is a special type of transfer station. The local district government wanted to have a very, very nice transfer station covered with a park, so that the residents could agree that they had a transfer station in the middle of their residential area. Of course, that led to a lot of requests and requirements for the dust and odor control especially, and also for the entrance of the collection trucks. But this, I hope that you will have the opportunity someday to come to Shanghai and see our transfer stations there. This is one of our, it was actually exposed on the World Expo in 2010, and has been recognized a lot. Another garden type transfer station also in Shanghai, in Huangpu district, is also the garden type. Then I'll just show a few concepts of the transfer stations. There's a possibility of a lot of different design, and normally what we do is that we leave it up to the customer, of course, to choose whatever design the customer finds most appropriate. So they can, of course, range very much in prices. So I'll just show the pictures a little bit. Okay. So
any possibility on the perhaps removing the leachate before transportation to the dumping site?
yes, we can actually, like I showed on one of the pictures, maybe too short, that we can take the leachate out of the silos before transportation. We have a special pumping system that can pump out and then connect to the silo. Then the leachate comes out, can be treated either on the spot, on the transfer station, or be transported by special equipment to a leachate treatment plant. We can do that.